Hey guys, what's up? Serena here from thriftiving.com, and today we are doing a family room refresh. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, but it took 5 months to get my sofa. So we're gonna have some new paint colors. We're gonna clean things up, freshen it up, and also we're gonna be using this sidekick from Wagner. So they're sponsoring this video, and today we're gonna see how much time we can actually save by using this. So let's jump into this video now. Let's go do some of the prep work. We've got some nail holes that need to be filled and some walls that have to be cleaned because I have kids. And if you have kids, you know their fingerprints are all over the walls. So let's go jump into this project right now. So this is what my family room looked like before, and the furniture is so embarrassing because we've had it for 18 years. It really has gone through 3 children, and it was not big enough for us to all sit on. I also wanted something light and bright. We had these 2 huge trees in our backyard that sucked the light out of the room, not to mention this dark fireplace that I painted years ago. And over the years, it's turned into a light and bright space, but it's been 5 years since I touched this room, and it was time for a refresh. Down here on the carpet, you see that little ridge? Well, several years ago, we had a fireplace leak that caused the floor to just buckle. And no matter how much pounding we did, those boards were not going back into place. So that was something I was going to tackle in this video too, and you'll see that in just a few. But when the new furniture came, I had not even done the painting yet. And I thought, oh no, I do not want to drop paint on this furniture. And even though I have kids and people say, don't buy light colored furniture when you have kids, they'll destroy it. I decided, guys, look, I want me some light, bright furniture. So that's what I ordered. And it's a sectional that is going to be able to fit all of us. Now for paint colors, I decided to go with a very light color for the wall. Again, I don't want something that's going to be too dark, but this had a different shade to it, and it just looked a little bit better than what I had on the wall. I also went with an accent wall that was pink. I know some of you guys are going to hate it. And then the other color, which you'll find the colors listed down below, was going to be an accent color. Now, whenever I paint, I typically will clean the walls first with maybe simple green. You can also use vinegar and then wipe it down with water. And I'll also fill any nail holes or indentations in the wall. There was a couple places that I missed, but if you're just using like spackle, letting that dry and then sanding it with some fine sandpaper, it'll create a pretty smooth surface upon which to paint. So I did all the prep work. I made sure, guys, that I covered up that sofa. There was no way I was dropping paint on this sofa. I wish I would have done the painting before it came, but hey, I just got busy. So you see here, the color I'm using is really not that different, but the paint color I have is like a yellowish, and this is, well, I think it's called City Loft, but it has a little bit of a purple to it. I mean, like purple undertone, and I just really loved it. So I went through and just sanded up those spots where, I was covering up the nail holes. And then it was time to use the sidekick. And I'd never used this before, and I wanted to test it out and see how well it would work. So here's the thing I like about the sidekick. And you can tell me if this is a problem for you. Whenever you're painting, a lot of times if you're using a tray, the tray is spilling everywhere. The paint is dripping off of the roller onto the floor, and it's just kind of a mess. So Wagner had sent me this sidekick to try out, and it basically will allow you to suck the paint directly from the can, whether you're using a 1 gallon or a 5 gallon, it will accept both. And the paint will actually suck up through the tube, and you'll start to see it coming out of the roller. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting everything together. I mean, there's really nothing to put together. When you get it out of the box, all you have to do is open your paint can and put the hose through there and plug it in. And it'll just start sucking up directly from the can. So there's no stopping and reloading. And even though I didn't have a ton of wall space, I did find that this was pretty helpful with being able to get the walls done faster. So anyway, as I turned on the machine, what you'll see is the paint is starting to suck up through the tube. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. You see it just kind of winding there through the tube. And as I'm pushing the button, you'll start seeing the paint coming through the roller. And you see there, it's like some little dots on the roller, and I'm running my finger over it. And sure enough, there's the paint. This was kind of cool. I was so excited to try this. And there's a button on the handle, so when you push that button, it'll actually reload the paint and suck it up into the roller. So when you're painting, you don't have to stop dip your brush, your roller, bring it back up. That's where the most paint tends to end up on the floor, right? So I liked that I could do this and I wouldn't have to stop and reload. Now, I don't have any tall walls in this room, but if you're painting in places where you've got vaulted ceilings and you're up on a ladder, or maybe you're doing a stairwell, this is actually a great tool because you're not going to have to stop and reload. And that can be dangerous if you're having to stop, get down, reload, get back up. And also you can attach a pole to this. So if you're trying to get higher, you can just screw on an extension pole and get more height. Now, I do actually like the color of that turquoise door, so I did a little bit of the sample paint on there, and I don't know if I like it. I think I might want to keep it this color, this turquoise, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what I do by the end of the video. But the wall color I really liked, and you can see that it's not that much different, but I do feel like it just, I don't know, it just got rid of that yellowy color that I'm not a fan of. So when it was time to switch paint cans, I did make a little bit of a mess here, and it was all user error. So when you're changing from one can to the next, just be careful that you're not dipping the hose and then trying to insert the hose. I kind of made a little bit of a mess here. This was the first time that I was switching paint cans, but I found it was pretty simple. And if you just have a towel there to clean up, it wasn't a big deal. And then that's when I went around and did another coat, because usually walls need 2 coats unless you buy a paint that is just a 1 coat coverage and you're just covering light colors on top of light colors. But the paint that I'm using is a no VOC paint, and those tend to be a little less coverage, so I needed to go through and do 2 coats anyway. So the next day it was time to do the accent wall. I had cleaned everything up, which you'll see in just a moment, but I pulled it out again to do the back accent wall. This is Abalone shell. And a lot of people said, you know, pink is not really a great accent wall. Choose a different color, but I don't know what it is. I love soft colors. I love pastel colors. I don't like things that are too dark. And even though, like I said before, I'm a tomboy, but I love my girly colors. So I just did 2 coats of this color. I thought it was the perfect shade of pink. Abalone shell. And once that was done, I was ready to move on to the trim and the ceiling and just freshen those up a little bit. They really didn't need very much. Anyway, moving on to the next part, I needed to clean this thing. Now, generally with the rollers, I typically throw them away, but with something like this, you can keep the rollers. You don't want to have to repurchase them all over again. But let me show you how to go about cleaning this. Now, you want to have a bucket of water. You'll probably go through 2 or 3 cycles of water and make it hot and soapy. The first thing that I usually do is clean out the excess paint. This is a tool you can get for just a few bucks. And once that's done, flip it off there, remove the clip and just put it in the water. Do not put the entire handle in the water. You can just run this metal part under, but don't insert the entire thing. So I cleaned it off a little bit, took the hose out. This is where things can get messy. So just make sure you've got something underneath to catch any paint that might spill out. And then you'll insert that tube into the hot soapy water. This is where you want to get all of the paint out of the hose and get it back into the bucket. Because remember, there's a lot of paint that gets sucked up into the hose and you don't want to lose that paint. So turning the machine on and letting it run for just a couple of seconds or so will clear out all of the paint that's in the tube that's left over and put that back into the can. And once you start seeing it run a little bit runny, then you know you're done and you can turn that off. Next, you're going to take that metal part and you're going to put it in the hot soapy water. You're going to let this run for probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And while you're doing that, you can clean up the roller and reuse that. And again, you're probably going to have to do 2 or 3 changes of the water just to make sure you're not recycling the same old dirty water. And you'll see it sucking up, and just let it run while you're cleaning everything else up. You'll spend probably about 20 minutes cleaning this up, which some people, they don't really like to clean up painting tools at all. But again, if you're doing a big job, if you're doing stairwells, you're doing vaulted ceilings, this thing does actually save you time. And I found that it created less of a mess when I was painting because there wasn't paint falling off of the roller because I didn't have to reload. So just plan to spend a little bit of time. At the end, wipe everything down, make sure there's no more water in the hose. So again, 20 minutes. I didn't find it to be that big of a deal to clean up, and it did save some time. So a couple other things I did in the family room. I did hang some new blinds. I love the look of blinds with curtains. And also, we've got these old receptacles that when you go to plug in the vacuum cleaner and you even move it like 1 inch, the whole thing just falls out. Like, it was so loose. So I cut the power, pulled off the old receptacles in 2 of them. I actually still have a few more to do around the room, but the 2 that were most problematic, I shut the power off, pulled off the conductors and changed those. And it was actually not that difficult. So if this is something that you want a tutorial on, please let me know down in the comments. If you're someone who's always been kind of afraid to do these, or if you have these sort of receptacles that are loose and you want to learn how to change them, let me know and I will actually do more of an extended video on this. This is something I used to be very scared of, but because of a class that I took in my carpentry program, I'm no longer afraid to change receptacles. It's something that I'll do. So if you want to know more about it, let me know down in the comments. Now, another thing that I needed to do in this family room was fix the flooring. This is something I will do a more extensive video on. Again, that leak caused those boards to completely buckle. And guess what? What was so amazing is that in the garage, I found a whole stack of pieces that somebody had left, I guess the previous homeowners. And I remember, oh my gosh, when I cleaned the garage, I remember seeing some boards. So it worked to my favor. So I cut out all the boards that were warped. And there was one that, of course, I left it in there. I couldn't do anything about that one. But each of the pieces, I just fit them to each individual space. And I noticed some parts were kind of wide, some parts were skinnier. So I just used my track saw and just cut them as best as I could based on my measurements. And a couple of the pieces fit in there really nicely. I was kind of shocked I did such a good job. I'd never done this before, but I put a little bit of construction adhesive there and then fit the board, and I tried to make it be a tight fit. So one part of it still had the little tongue and groove. So you see that I sort of fit that in there and then very carefully just tapped it into place. So some of the boards, I was pretty excited that I got such a good tight fit. And when everything was said and done, you couldn't really even tell. Now, there are still some boards that had gaps, and you can see some of the damage from the other boards. I couldn't replace all of them, but my main concern was just making sure that that part of the floor didn't buckle the way it had been. Because, I mean, we'd step on the rug and feel that part buckling. So anyway, we took out the old rug, we vacuumed. I vacuumed, and then we had to roll out the rug. This is a rug I got from Amazon. It's like a 10 by 14, and it was pretty affordable, so I'll leave a link down below, and just move the furniture into place. And even though I still have some things that I need to do in this room, when you compare the before to the after, I mean, it looks so much more fresh and clean. And let's not forget, when we bought this furniture in 2002, it was just my husband and I. We didn't have any children, but now we're a family of 5 with 3 big growing boys. We needed space to stretch out. So the pink accent wall, that's totally for me. Nobody else wanted it. Family, everybody told me, no, don't go with pink. But personally, I like it. And it's not in your face pink, but it's enough of a pink where you can see that it's got a little bit of color back there, but it's not too blaring. So I think in the back of the room here, I was going to do a seating area, but I think I'm just going to go with the standing desk the way that I had planned to. And that door, I still have some sample paint there. I'm not sure what I'm doing with that yet. So this part of the room still isn't done, the back part. But right now, this part is looking really good. The sofa is from Lazy Boy. I bought that, oh my gosh, 5 months ago, and it took forever to get here. I still need to make my coffee table. These are some legs that you'll see in an upcoming video very soon, maybe next week. And it just had lots of nasty paint on it. So those all got made over, and the walls got made over thanks to Wagner. So I'm really thankful that they sponsored this, and they have other painting tools that you can use. So be sure to find their link down below to wagnerspraytech.com. For now, I'm going to go lay on the sofa and have a good time and stretch out. I'll see you next video, and be sure to follow this makeover because there's more to come. See you next video.